When Juan Ranas first sees the alcaldesa falsa, he cowardly jumps onto a bench, surprised at the apparition that appears to him to be la tarasca, que ya sale por el corpus, medio sierpe, medio dama. The tarasca, a snake figure paraded around during the procession of Corpus Christi, represents the victory over evil that was won through the sacrificial death of Christ. It also symbolized the monstrous passion of the Leviathan, a symbol for the devil. On one hand, therefore, Juan Randa's use of the tarasca symbolically connotes that the alcaldesa is not only monstrous, but evil. This coincides with the opinion of many moralists during this period. On the other hand, the alcaldesa falsa could also be seen to be physically big as a whale. Whale bone or balin was also traditionally used in the fabrication of a guardainfante, a fact that will be entertained by the first of our four men who think they have to be in disagreement with the prisoner. However, prior to the arrival of the first accuser, Juan Rana states that fathers or guardians should unabashedly give these swollen women una tunda, or a beating. All in all, this larger-than-life description works on both a symbolic and physical level with regards to the whale-like guardainfante wearing alcaldesa falsa, a supposedly vile and power-hungry female. What ensues from this point in the intermezzo is a satirical critique of the perceived excess of the guardainfante in its wear, and hence of women's thoughtless vanity and façon d'être. In stages, the guardainfante is verbally torn apart by three different representatives of patriarchal society. This disrobing of la alcaldesa falsa serves as a perfect vehicle for a four-part parodic harangue against women. It can also be seen as a satirical take, once again, on the overzealous commentary of many moralists of the period. The first critic of this excessive hoopskirt is a whaler. He speaks on behalf of the whales that have been killed for their barbas and emptied for their costas. These whale parts are traditionally used as structural supports for the hoopskirt, but the emptiness of the harvest whales is also compared to the alcaldesa falsa, who is vestida muy hueca. She therefore, like cavernous whales killed for her hoopskirt supports, is seen to embody emptiness from a physical, symbolic, and moral viewpoint. In other words, the physically large hoopskirt supported by whale parts also refers to the perceived excesses of female dress, vacuous female vanity, and absence of morality. The alcaldesa falsa, infuriated by the whaler's remarks and Juan Rana's comment that men are to be thankful that their beards cannot be harvested for hoopskirts, hands over some of the supports, explaining that these have long been substituted for arcos de hierro. A mozo de mulas is the second male to criticize the guardainfante and its wearer. If the whaler speaks of the supporting cage support of the garment, the mule handler addresses its interior contents. He accuses the alcaldesa falsa of stuffing the skirt with straw that should be put to better use, namely to feed hungry domestic animals. He is, in other words, accusing women of wastefulness and excess for the sake of unabashed vanity. Juan Rana remarks that the choice of stuffing for this supposedly elegant garment is in reality fodder for the lowly ass. In disgust, la alcaldesa falsa takes a handful of straw and thrusts it at the mule handler. Old Man Winter now arrives and asks that the making of the guardainfante be stopped, as the large quantity of cloth used in its manufacture has left no material for a much-needed winter coat. Juan Rana demands that the alcaldesa falsa vuelva al invierno su abrigo, que no han de estar las muchachas estiradas para el frío. While stating that women need not be estiradas para el frío, or wear protective clothing against winter's cold, Juan Rana subsequently comments that they should, however, be colgadas for their actions. With a statement that women should be literally hung out to dry for their actions, we once again have a reference to violence, albeit comical. As a consequence of these comments, the alcaldesa falsa officially steps out of what is left of her guardainfante, stating, Toma ya sus pleitas, no quiero pleitos, que lo que ellas visten desnudan ellos. The play on words between pleitas or pleats and pleitos or litigation shows that she refers to give up her skirt rather than risk criminal prosecution. A timely reference to the controversy surrounding the guardainfante, soon to be prohibited in 1639. With the alcaldesa stripped down to her knickers, Juan Rana comments that a pocas demandas estrujada ha quedado como naranja. Apart from the visual effect of the undressed alcaldesa falsa seemingly squeezed into her corseted undergarments, Juan Rana would also seem to be alluding to the tight and tricky position in which she finds herself. A final critic arrives from the underworld to demand his hair now used as a hairpiece by La Alcaldesa Falsa, which she officiously gives back to him. While not specifically part of the guardainfante, the beauty-enhancing hairpiece once again refers to female extravagance perceived by men to represent vile female vanity that hints at immoral behavior. The final scene of the intermezzo, where Juan Rana explains how the alcaldesa falta and all women should be redressed, is the most powerful of our reading. Here there are a series of references to the manufacture of clothing, replete with veiled references to beating and whipping. First, Juan Rana speaks of having given many jubones in his day. On one level, jubones are undergarments, and indeed the alcaldesa falsa is quite literally and symbolically stripped down to her jubones. While more ominously, however, jubones also refer to los azotes que se dan por justicias en las espadas. The second meaning takes on more validity when Juan Rana and the alcaldesa falsa discuss the material used for the making of the jubones and how it is prepared. The jubones are made of skin and leather and become coloradas or reddened by the many hits received. When asked what guarnición or adornment is added, the answer is mosqueado y atrás los golpes. Mosqueado is a euphemism term for whipping on the backside, as the second part of the line also indicates. The alcaldesa falsa subsequently asks if the maker of these garments es un buen sastre. On one level, ser un buen sastre, or to be a good tailor, is a popular expression that is used to highlight in a positive manner the ability, skill, and knowledge of a person who practices an art or a trade. However,